Well, it's a test. It's strange.
It's long.
It's very crazy. It's very mixed up.
And your eyes start bugging out. The country says that, or most colleges say, you have to have an SAT score in order to get into college.
And what the college wants, the college gets.
Each year, over 1 million high school students take the College Board's Scholastic Aptitude Test, the SAT. What is the test like? Why is it given? What does it mean to the people who take it? Let's ask some questions, get some facts, and hear some opinions.
What is the SAT?
The SAT, or the Scholastic Aptitude Test, is a test which measures your ability to do work in college.
Well, I've taken tests like them, the PSAT, and a lot of those things, well, tests like them where you fill in the little dots.
The SAT is given as a common denominator, so to speak, for students all over the country, so that your ability to do this work will be compared, measured against the ability of students in all parts of the country to do the same types of work.
You know, I'm sure that if there was any alternative, it'd be thought of.
This is an objective test, a 2.5-hour test in 5 sections, both verbal and math.
I'll be tired afterwards, but as soon as I get some food in my belly, I'll be all right.
There will be approximately 250 to 300 questions.
I'd like to know some of the questions beforehand.
Question.
I know it's the test of math and English, and why do they pick just those 2 subjects?
Most of the things that you will be asked to do in a college will relate very much to English or math.
What does the SAT measure?
It's basically what we know as an aptitude test rather than an achievement test. In the achievement test, usually they're basically testing what you have learned throughout the years. And in an aptitude test, it usually measures more of your ability or reasoning capabilities.
Aptitude is really a measure of the probability of being able to grasp certain ideas and facts.
Can you study for the SAT?
You know, the questions really are more measuring your abilities in reasoning powers rather than, what you studied for.
I try to tell my students that the best preparation has been done over the past 11 years. If they've been to school every day and performed their duties well every day and achieved well in school, that more than likely they'll perform well on this test. But to go out in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a night and do a lot of cramming, vocabulary reviewing and so forth, it's probably a waste.
They give you these sample booklets, a couple questions, sample questions, what's going to be on the test. And I look those over just to get a sense of what's going to be on it.
Is the SAT a difficult test?
You know, like right in the booklet they give you, it says, are the SATs hard? And then it says yes, you know. Some parts are easy, some parts are hard. It depends on the question. I think there's no overall sort of a thing.
They're hard.
It is a difficult test, yes. As a matter of fact, you're not expected to know all the answers. You would be a very unusual student if you did know all the answers.
What about guessing?
If you have a pretty good idea of an answer, if you can eliminate 1 or 2 of the 4 or 5 choices, then it's a good idea to go ahead and guess. If you have no idea, though, better to leave it blank, because when the score is calculated, it will be a matter of giving you credit for all the right answers, but subtracting a percentage of the incorrect answers. If you have no idea, better leave it blank.
What's a passing mark?
You don't really pass this test. This isn't a pass-fail test. This is the type of thing you do to measure your own ability as compared with other people, but it is not a pass-fail type examination.
Why do colleges want the SAT?
The reason we need some sort of national test like that is because there are something like 30,000 high schools. Sure, they each have grading systems, but there's bound to be a great deal of variation in what the grade A or the grade B means from one of those secondary schools to the other 29,000 plus.
The SAT results give us a sort of an idea on a standardized basis of what these grades mean.
We want to make sure that when a student comes into college, to a particular college, that they're able to go through that program. Some may have to work a little harder than others, but you don't want to knowingly admit a student who's going to find the going in that particular program too difficult.
That, I suspect, is the heart of the admissions process, whether or not the student is likely to be able to succeed at that particular university or college.
Question.
What kind of score the college expects, that's the question that I'd have with regards to the specific college. Exactly what they want in the way of an SAT.
This varies a great deal. Most public institutions that require SATs will base their decision on the number of applicants that are competing for the number of places.
Among the selective colleges, the range would be somewhere between high 400s and 800.
At our institution, we do not utilize a score above which the student is admitted and below which he cannot be admitted.
Depends upon the program you'd like to be in and whether or not you are choosing a program that's very highly competitive. If you want to be in a liberal arts program, the average SAT scores of individuals in those programs would be about the national average of 434 verbal. A little bit higher math, I think, is this year's national average. But certainly there are individuals who are higher than that, and there are individuals who are lower than that in every program.
How does the SAT help the college-bound student?
We look at the SATs as really helping the student. We feel, for example, that if we can give the student an accurate profile of our students in terms of their SATs and their class ranks and grade point averages, the student has some way to assess the competition that he or she might expect at the university. There's another way we use the test, and that is to identify talented young people who might be missed through the regular process.
What this enables us to do is to tap abilities or to recognize abilities wherever they are, regardless of how modest may have been the circumstances from which a student comes, regardless of how modest may be the resources that a given high school in the country has access to.
And oftentimes these students will come up with a very high math score, a very high verbal score, and we're interested in this. Then we go back to that student and we say, boy, here's somebody with some ability. Let's find out if we can take a chance on this person.
The SATs can probably be looked on in a broad sense as an opportunity. They open a lot of doors.
Did the SAT help you get into college?
My high school grades were mediocre, and I think I did well enough on my SAT scores to get me in here.
I'd say that it had quite a bit to do with it, because my grade point average was a little bit lower than the median, I believe, but my SAT score was rather higher than it. So I think the SAT helped me quite a bit, actually.
The image, of course, is that they close a lot of doors. And I'm inclined to think that having seen my fair share of people who score fairly high on those tests, that the image that they close doors derives more from knowing some students, as we all do, who had high scores and didn't get into the college of their choice. Ironically, perhaps what that means is that the college is not using the scores as the sole measure of admitting students, and therefore will take some students with lower scores and turn down some students with higher scores.
Was it your SAT that got you into college?
The average here is about 200 points higher than mine, and
nowhere near. I think grade point average had much more to do with getting in.
As far as aiding my application, I don't think it helped very much because I did a lot better in mathematics as opposed to the verbal, and I'm a liberal arts major in English.
Some people just can't take tests. Myself, I really, on big tests, I sometimes just can't do it, even though I do get good grades in school.
You have to do good on this test, you know. And it's really a lot of pressure on you.
They might be judging me rather than by a piece of paper rather than by, what I am.
I think students have this idea that all you do is sit around and look at their test scores, or as if you were going to admit them by height and weight, and you were just going to look at those numbers.
I'd say they should put about 1/3 of emphasis on it. They should put much more emphasis on what you do in school and outside of school.
How much does the SAT have to do with getting into college?
The SAT test is looked at in a hierarchy of credentials, less heavily than how well the youngster does in a high school or a secondary school environment.
But when we say the secondary school record, we don't mean just a class rank or just a grade point average, but we really look at the quality of the school from which the student has graduated. And increasingly important is the selection of courses made by the student in high school.
We look carefully at the recommendations that come from the high school, the counselors, the teachers.
After that might be taken into consideration any extracurricular activities they undertook.
Do you have an exceptional skill or ability? Are you an excellent cellist? Can you throw a football 50 yards?
We look at other factors. We certainly look at recent improvement of the student. We're very concerned about the background of the student in terms of the economic condition of the family, the racial background of the student, because these factors give us clues as to why a student may or may not have performed at satisfactory levels in school.
And of course, we look at the test results.
Good morning. Please take a seat and fill out the registration card on the desk.
It's not something I want to do, believe you. I am a very nervous person, and I get terribly nervous on exams, and I hate every bit of it, but it's something I have to do, so.
The fact is that we don't give the same weight to the SAT in every case. We don't have particular points we attach to it. We try and see the candidate as a whole candidate.
The SAT is one part of the whole picture, just like it's one part of the whole student's credential.
The test scores merely supplement all of the other information that we have.
No one factor alone will absolutely turn thumbs down on a student.
I'm not very good at exams. I'm really not. That's a bad attitude. All right, I'll try my best. That's all I can do.
Okay, class, you will have 30 minutes to work on section 1. Please open your test book, read the directions, and begin work.
If you would like more information about the SAT and how you can tell colleges more about yourself, talk to your guidance counselor and read these College Board publications: the Student Bulletin, About the SAT, and your Student Report.
My pencil broke.
I'm glad it's over. I did my best, so that's all I can do.
Oh, I think I did very well. I had a little trouble with the vocabulary, but...
I feel lousy because I know I stunk on it.
I'm gonna get something to eat. I'm starving.